Do you have a dream? Do you have a plan? Would you like to see one? Hello there, my name is Damon Dillard. I'm the co-founder of TDT, and I'm extremely excited and grateful for you to spend a couple of moments with me and see the information that completely transitioned and changed my life 4.5 years ago. 4.5 years ago was one of the most tumultuous, trying times of my entire life, and a gentleman introduced an opportunity to me that created freedom of my finances, freedom in my life, and actually made me a better person. But I want you to ask yourself a couple of things right now. What will it take for you to get to the next level? What will it take for you to realize and manifest your own dreams? Unfortunately, I think we're living in a time right now where people are not being honest about their finances. They're not being honest about the financial difficulties that a lot of people are having right now. I think, like many of you growing up, I knew there was an issue with the finances with my parents. I knew that money was a little scarce. I remember my mother telling me, hey, make sure you only drink 1 cup of juice. I remember my father telling me, hey, make sure you only spend 5 minutes in the shower, right? I think many of the arguments that my family had were due to finances. So we live in a time right now, the most beautiful time, where you have an opportunity in America to create wealth for yourself. But I think it's an issue that a lot of people aren't looking at. And through this video, I would like to provide a case. I want to provide a case as to why right now you need to create wealth for yourself and your family. So a couple of things I would like to address. First and foremost, America, right now, right? We talk about the debt in America. We talk about everything that's going on. I believe right now we're in a time period where we have $20 trillion of debt. $20 trillion of debt. Now, 60 million of that is unpaid debt. Now, here's the problem. In order for that debt to be paid, that's going to be done by you and I, right? The taxpayers with our tax dollars. So in order for that to happen, 50 cents out of every dollar that you earn is going to go towards that debt. You know, I think a lot of people can agree right now that the middle class is being eliminated right now in America. If you look at most stats, you probably need to make, and I'm going to make a case for this, about $250,000 per year in order to live a comfortable life, especially if you have children like me, right? So the first stat is about money, and this is about money and the cost of living between 1990 and the current day. 1990 and the current day. Now, college tuition in 1990, all right? 1990 was $30,408. $30,408. Now, as of today, that same tuition per year is $94,000, all right? Almost 3 times the amount as it was back in 1990. Now, homes, right? The cost of homes has increased as well. $101,000 in 1990. As of today, it is $223,000 on average. The cost of gas, obviously we got to use gas. We got to get to where we're going, right? Cost of gas in 1990 was $1.12. Right now, actually I just filled up, $2.76. Now, if you're in California or the West Coast, you're probably saying, Damon, it's about $3.50 out here, right? So it's almost tripling. Raising a child. Yeah, check this out. Raising a child in 1990 was about $120,000. Today, $245,000. A new car, that brand new car that you wanted back in 1990, $9,300. Today, almost quadruple the price for an average car, $33,600. Now, here's the issue. Obviously, the price of everything is going up. That's inflation. Hey, that happens. I completely understand. Now, here's the problem. When you look at the median income for a household right now in America, in 1990, it was $52,689, right? Not too bad, right? Well, it's a sum. Here's the problem. Today, almost 30 years later, $55,775. Ladies and gentlemen, that is only a 6% increase, whereas everything has increased almost 300%. Now, you kind of have to ask of yourself at that point, what are we doing about that? What are we creating to make sure that we're not only able to sustain a way of living, but as we said earlier, you have a dream, you have a goal, you have a vision, you have something that you've probably suppressed over time because now we had to deal with the realities of life. So what I want to give you right now is I want to give you the 4 steps to creating wealth for yourself, for your family, as well as your legacy. Step number one, and it's so funny because I have a quick story about this. Growing up, I was always able to communicate pretty well, right? The religion that I grew up in, it forced us to communicate, go door to door. I was almost born to be a salesman. But I remember an experience where my father came from Cleveland to Columbus to visit me. And we had stopped by a Lexus dealership. This was probably 2002, 2003. The new SC430 had just came out. A little sports coupe convertible. And I remember he was only looking at the car. He said, hey, I want to test drive it. I only want to look. And if you guys are familiar with the Columbus area, we went to Germain of Easton. Got into Germain of Easton. There was a gentleman there, bald head guy, a good looking guy, very articulate, charismatic. I mean, just an incredible guy. And I was instantly drawn into him, right? He just had an aura about him where he could control the room, right? Where people were just attracted to this guy, right? And I just remember my father saying, hey, I'm not going in there to buy anything. But I'll never forget us taking that test drive and us sitting at that table with that gentleman, and the guy, he wowed us. It wasn't he was being forceful or he was trying to get us to make a decision that day. He was just using what I would call influence, right? Not necessarily sales, but influence. And from that day, my dad almost bought the car that day. From that day, I said, you know what? I'm going to provide an ethical, character, value-based way to sell products to people that need it. So I want you to write that down. The number one skill that you will need in order to create wealth in this day and age is the ability to influence and sell. Listen, I've been at Valley Total Fitness, I've done mortgages, I've done retail sales, I've done door-to-door items, I've done a little bit of everything. And I know a lot of people I might have lost right now because they're like, well, I'm not a salesman. Well, when's the last time you tried to convince your children to eat those greens on their plate, right? When's the last time you had a discussion with your spouse about maybe a bill that needed to be taken care of? Maybe somebody at work that you wanted to help make a decision. We're selling all the time. Hey, just the fact that you told yourself you're not a salesman, you are selling yourself on that idea. The beautiful thing about it is you're now able to offer a product, service, or opportunity to somebody and do it in an ethical way. See, sales is simply a transference of feelings. And I want to give you this stat because I think this is very important to know about the industry of sales. The median income right now for the average sales manager is $117,960. That is the average. Now, that's about $56 an hour. Now, even more than that, obviously, most people they have a dream, they have a goal, they're like, listen, I want to get to 7 figures, 8 figures, I want to become a millionaire. Well, 86% of the millionaires right now that are in America are self-made. Now, the majority of them have a background in sales, and get this, they did not plan to ever get into the industry of sales. Now, that spoke to me immediately because that tells me that only 14% of all the millionaires have been given an inheritance by their family, which now creates an opportunity, obviously, for you and I. The second, number two. Now, I want to ask you a quick question. Of all the people that you know that are doing well financially, what is their background? What is their trade? I think you and I can both agree that they're probably not employees. Most of the people that you know that are doing extremely well financially, they're probably not employees. What are they? Yes, say it with me. They're an entrepreneur. They are an entrepreneur. Why is that? Because they don't want to cap in their income. They don't want to cap in what they're able to experience in their life. They don't want somebody telling them when they have to be to work, when they have to leave, when they can use the bathroom, when they can take a lunch. Hey, you got an hour for lunch. Well, guess what? I actually want a little more time than that. They want to make sure ultimately, and write this down, they want to control their destiny. Number 3 is probably the most important to me. 3.5 years ago, when I began to look at opportunities, I said, I want to be a part of an opportunity where I have had the chance to build something substantial for my family. And I knew that would be created through something called residual income. Residual income. That's sleep money. Now, if you guys are familiar with Robert Kiyosaki, he has an incredible book, bestseller, probably of all time in the industry, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In that book, he said, if you don't make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. So I said, you know what industries give me the opportunity to create sleep money, right? I looked at the real estate industry. Obviously, I could be a wholesaler. I could look into being an investor, or maybe I can have rentals. I'm not really sure. But when I looked at real estate coming out of college, I didn't exactly have the capital or the credit or the money to invest in that type of industry. Maybe I could have been a doctor, had a couple of practices and gained an income residually off of that, but I was already tired of school, right? I didn't want to go to school anymore. So I said 8 more years, that's just not going to happen. Now, like many of you, you were probably a part of the mortgage crisis, the bust, right? Where we lost everything, just as you did too, right? So I said, you know what? I want to be a part of an industry where it's almost fail-proof, where at the end of the day, people are always going to need my product or service. Insert the financial services industry, i.e. insurance, life insurance. I knew in this industry, people were always going to need my product or service. If you look at a couple of stats real quick about millennials, Generation X, baby boomers, and obviously seniors, you have to notice the population of every single one of these. Now, right now, millennials are the largest piece of this population. There's over 82 millennials right now. Now, second to that are baby boomers. Baby boomers. There are over 76 million baby boomers right now in population. Now, you're probably asking, why is that important? Well, someone once said that if you can figure out what baby boomers are going to need next, you will instantly be successful in business. Think about this. Baby boomers are a generation that came from 1948 to 1962. I believe 64, all right? Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's the time period. Now, between that time period, something really significant happened. Obviously, everybody had come home from the war. When guys come home from the war, they're ready to make babies, right? And that's why you had such a large population of baby boomers. Now, as they get older, what's the first thing a baby is going to need? Well, insert Gerber and Mattel. Those two companies expanded and became very large around the time that baby boomers were born. Now, what's after that? Well, obviously, they're going to need some schooling, right? Well, around that same time period, guess what industry was booming? The construction industry. That's right. So right after that, what are baby boomers going to need? Well, they're now reaching the age where they probably want to drive a sweet car, right? I remember my grandfather, he wanted a Shelby. He wanted a Mustang coupe. Around that time period is when these car companies introduced those cars. Now, right after that, what do they need? More education, or i.e., they're getting to the point where they're having families. Insert the housing boom, right? Around the 1980s is when everybody wanted to buy a house. Around that same time period is when those same baby boomers began to be solicited for financial services. So you see a lot of baby boomers right now that do have some type of knowledge of the industry. However, and write this down, this stat, 41% of the population right now has no insurance. There are 316 million people right now in America. There are 141,000 licensed agents. All right, I'm gonna say that again. 316 million people, 141,000 licensed agents. What does that say? Hey, listen, I went to a decent university. I took a class in economics, supply and demand. There is a huge demand for what we do. Why is that? Well, only 41% of the population of that 316 million people, which is about 95 million people, actually have some type of insurance in place. Over 49% have nothing in place at all. Insert exactly what we do. Now, when you are looking at that industry, there's a lot of different things that you can do as far as life insurance is concerned. I want you to think about who you're listening to, because that will have a direct effect on whether you're going towards prosperity or towards poverty. This gentleman told me, hey, I want you to get into the life insurance industry. And he told me this because life insurance is going nowhere. At the end of the day, as far as I know, most people will pass away at some time or another. So high demand, high results, residual income. He said, more specifically, I want you to get into a niche of that baby boomers will have to have. That's called final expense insurance. Now, think about this stat. Over the next 19 years, over 11,000 baby boomers will be turning 65 years of age every single day. Now, why is that important? Well, at 65 is when most people retire. It's when they're leaving their job. They probably have some type of term insurance or temporary coverage at their job, and now they have nothing. But they're reaching a time of their life where they are thinking about their final expenses. They are thinking about, I don't want to leave my family with that debt. I do want to make sure that I'm leaving some type of inheritance or legacy, or at least making sure that nobody else has to take care of my burial. That we don't have to do the fish fries. We don't have to do the cookouts. That I don't have to have money given to my family in order to take care of me. And that's why I saw the significance and importance of exactly what we do. Now, number 4, probably most important, is what vehicle do you choose? What vehicle, what company, what stream do you choose? Well, for what you're watching right now, I'm going to encourage of you that you look at a couple of different things. First of all, you look at the company that you're with, you look at the leadership that you're under, and then you look at the system that you're a part of. Now, who you choose to do business with. Here at TDT Financial, we have strategic partnerships with companies that have been in business over 100+ years. They have A+ ratings with the Better Business Bureaus. They have A ratings with AM Best, which is a financial services system, right, that measures the financial success of a company. Now, the importance of TDT is the program. You're gonna have to have a system to be successful. System stands for Save Yourself Time, Energy, and Money. And in this industry where you can become an entrepreneur, whether it's part-time or full-time, we want to give you a platform to create wealth, giving you the opportunity to now create something as a lasting legacy for your family. When I looked at the industry 3.5 years ago and I decided to get involved, I was in probably one of the most difficult times of my life. And I want to tell you a little bit about what it's been able to do for me and what I've been able to create. I was coming out of college, probably again, one of the most tumultuous times, didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. And a friend of mine grabbed me and he said, you know, I know you're interning at all these different companies. I know you're looking at the Northwestern Mutuals. I know you're looking at the Prudentials, at the State Farms, at all these different companies, but I want to make sure that you're going in the right direction. I want to make sure that you're getting exactly what you want out of life. And he said, you need to get your life insurance license. Once you get your life insurance license, and he looked me in the eye, he said, you'll never have to worry about money again. Well, I want you to think about somebody in your life that is your why. The reason why you do what you do. See, growing up, my mother, she worked 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet, right? She did all that she could. I remember she was working at a school system. She was working as a customer service rep at night. During the day, she was being a full-time mom, and she had her own business sewing. It was called Pins and Needles. And I'll never forget through the relationships that my mother had, through everything that she had to endure, both from a physical standpoint, from an emotional standpoint. I remember just thinking, man, I cannot wait to grow up to be a man to take care of my mother. I remember a couple of times just driving with my mom to different destinations, and in the middle of the car would literally start smoking. And I remember looking at my mom's eyes and she would begin to cry. And again, I thought to myself, I cannot wait to get older to take care of my mother. Well, fast forward, it wasn't my mother now that I was seeing every day, it was my wife. And 3.5 years ago, as I'm looking at my wife, I'm thinking to myself, I live in America. All the opportunities in the world, right? I'm a breathing, I'm strong, I'm healthy human being. I am a man, but I'm behind on my promises. I'm behind on my goals. I'm behind on my dreams. I'm behind on everything that I've now promised to this woman who is almost in my eyes a representative of my mother. And I said to myself, you know what? Enough is enough. Have you ever had that moment where you said, you know what, Damon, enough is enough? Maybe that's the reason why you're watching this video right now. Well, I said enough is enough. I've had it. I'm going to do everything I know is possible legally to make sure I'm providing the lifestyle to her as well as my children that I know they deserve. From that point on, I dived deep into the business. I found out everything that I needed to know. I hung on to the coattails of the leadership that I was under at that time. And within that first year, I was able to create a 6-figure income. Our company now has done multiple $1 million of revenue, and we are excited about the future. Now, obviously, you've watched videos like this before, right? You've probably seen different companies. Maybe you've been a part of a couple of meetings before where they said they had the best of everything, right? They said they had the best compensation plan. They said they had the best structure. They had the best system. They had the best technology. Well, the truth of the matter is, I don't care what company you go to, what leadership you're under, or what structure you're in, 97% of what you do and the success you gain is going to be because of you. And that was the difference for me 3.5 years ago. I understood the responsibility I had to create my own success in my life. See, the financial services industry is just like anything else where 97% of the people that even get involved will not make six figures. They will not become successful. 3% will go on to make six figures. I don't care whether it's you want to make an extra $1,000 a month, whether you want to make an extra $100,000 a month. We got people in the industry making 7, 8, and 9 figures in this industry. So it's not about the money not being available. The financial services arena is a $1 trillion industry. The factor that we have to figure out is what you want of that. And that's where TDT Financial comes into play. See, what we offer is a mentorship program that takes you through 4 simple steps that allows you to create whatever you deem as freedom, whether that's financially, whether it's spiritually, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally. See, we understand as you grow as a person, so does your income, so does your life, so does your gifting, so does your children, so does your wife. Everything begins to grow with you. So what I encourage of you right now is I encourage you to get with the person that showed you this video. Get with them, get with their sponsor as well. Find out how you'll fit into the system so that we can begin manifesting your dream. And as always, we'll see you at the top, not from the top, because you deserve it.